Lobby days are really critical. And I think some people think, oh, lobby day, my voice doesn't matter. But I would say for legislators, those are the days where your voice matters the most. Those are the days where we get to hear from individuals who are impacted, from individuals who are advocating for those who are impacted, that aren't professional lobbyists. They're everyday neighbors who are coming in to talk to us about a compelling story that they feel is important for us to hear.
This is Hourglass, the podcast for United Way of King County in Seattle. Coming up, we'll discuss lobby days at the state capitol, an annual opportunity for individuals and groups to gather in Olympia, meet with lawmakers, and advocate for policies that help improve the quality of life in their communities. United Way of King County will take part in a February 5th lobby day at the state capitol, joining college students and education advocates to push for more college support services like housing, childcare, health care, and food security. In this episode, we'll chat with Nancy Liu, United Way Systems Change and Public Policy Coordinator, and State Representative Mari Leavitt on the importance of Lobby Day and the February 5th advocacy efforts. We'll also hear from United Way Board Chair Steve Hooper on why he supports our organization, and we'll discuss a local volunteer opportunity. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for tuning in. So, the 2024 elections have passed, and you were among the millions of registered voters in Washington state who cast ballots last year to help elect our new governor, attorney general, and about half of the current state senators. Those elected leaders joined other lawmakers in Olympia in January as our new state government cycle began. So your work is done, right? Wrong. Actually, electing our leaders is just one of the primary steps in the civic engagement process. Now you need to make sure that those you voted for and those you didn't listen to your concerns about what ails this state so that they can craft policies that work for you and your community. One way to ensure that your voice is heard by lawmakers is to attend lobby days, which are designated times that lawmakers set aside to meet with constituents. Also known as advocacy days, lobby days give individuals, groups, and organizations opportunities to share their stories and advocate for policies and budget allocations that address community needs. People can petition the government on a particular issue or many issues. And despite a widely held belief that elected officials often make up their minds about policies without public input, lobby days work at the state and federal levels. According to results from a 2017 Congressional Management Foundation survey, when congressional staff were asked what advocacy factors influence undecided lawmakers, 94% said in-person visits from constituents would have some or much influence. In Washington state, lobby days are held throughout the legislative sessions. Some are held in legislative buildings, others on the steps of the state capitol, and others on nearby lawns of both. United Way of King County has become a fixture at lobby days each year. We've provided training and the information people need to talk with legislators. We typically take about a dozen people from King County to meet with legislators. And we also invite elected leaders to make speeches and presentations to us and our partners. Our lobby days align with our efforts to ensure that all of King County has enough to eat, a quality education, and a safe place to call home. At 2017's Lobby Day, we advocated for Breakfast After the Bell, a program that provides breakfast and classrooms for all kids in schools where more than half the students qualify for free and reduced meals. Last year, we advocated for the basic needs of post-secondary students. Along with the Post-Secondary Basic Needs Coalition, we urge policymakers to meet students' needs for navigation, food, housing, mental and behavioral care, and childcare. This year, we're continuing our advocacy for student basic needs, joining again with the Post-Secondary Basic Needs Coalition for a February 5th Lobby Day. In this episode of Hourglass, we chatted with Nancy Liu, United Way Systems Change and Public Policy Coordinator, and State Representative Mari Leavitt on the importance of Lobby Day and the February 5th advocacy efforts. We began our conversation with Representative Leavitt, who serves for the 28th District in Pierce County. Representative Leavitt is a graduate of Tacoma Community College, Western Washington University in Oregon State, and she's worked in higher education for more than 23 years as a college administrator. Her knowledge and experience in higher education landed Representative Leavitt on the Post-Secondary Education and Workforce Committee, where she and lawmakers improved access for community and technical colleges, apprenticeships, and four-year institutions. She's also championed support services for foster care students and for those experiencing homelessness. Representative Leavitt is slated to be a keynote speaker during the February 5th Lobby Day. In this episode, she begins our Lobby Days discussion by talking about the importance of Lobby Days to lawmakers.
Lobby days are really critical, and I think some people think, Lobby day, my voice doesn't matter. But I would say for legislators, those are the days where your voice matters the most. Those are the days where we get to hear from individuals who are impacted, from individuals who are advocating for those who are impacted, that aren't professional lobbyists. They're everyday neighbors who are coming in to talk to us about a compelling story that they feel is important for us to hear. And so for me, lobby days are my favorite. I can hear from a lobbyist any day, and they are paid to say a particular thing, and they have a particular focus, and they do good work. But on lobby days is when we get to hear from community members, where we get to hear from our neighbors about what is really impacting them and what we can do to address the challenges that they're having or their particular program that they're advocating for. And we can learn more about why it really matters and how it's really impacting those that it's meant to serve. And so they're really important days. And I would say, oftentimes we have members say, well, I don't want to go down and talk to somebody because I don't speak well, or I'm not articulate, or I don't know how to get my voice across. And what I say to people, no one cares. We just want to hear from you in whatever way you show up, however you speak about it, speak frankly, speak softly. It doesn't matter. We want to hear from you. And there is never any judgment except for gratitude that you're here and willing to take the time to tell us about how important it is for you. And so they're very important, and they have significant meaning, and they often can change hearts and minds in these stories that we learn about and hear about.
At United Way, we have a program called Bridge to Finish, where we provide funding for resources, everything from food to housing to financial support for the community colleges and technical schools in King County. I want to know if you can talk about what it was like for you as a student in community college and how that shapes what you do now.
Yeah, well, I am a big advocate of community and technical colleges. When I was in high school, I lived in South Tacoma, went to Lincoln High School. My dad served in the military. My mom was a seamstress, and we didn't have a lot of money. And I didn't realize how challenging our family. My parents, I was fed and I had a safe place to live and a warm home, and I was fortunate in that way. But I had a choice my senior year of choosing between Tacoma Community College and Pierce College because we didn't have dollars to go. And back then, tuition wasn't that much, but we didn't have dollars for me to go anywhere else. So I lived at home my first 2 years. Mm-hmm. And out of that, became a student leader, a student body president at Tacoma Community College, got engaged in campus, did student programs, and really just learned about the second chance institutions that community technical colleges are for individuals and families, and the range of age, whether you're a worker, whether you're going back for retraining, whether you're a woman who hasn't worked, or a dad or a male who hasn't worked in a while because you were taking care of your family, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a way where you need to sustain yourself and you don't have skills in a particular area to get you a job. And community and technical colleges are really the hubs of our community. They're the center of our community in the breadth of what they provide and the depth of the impact that they have, not only on those families, but on their communities as a whole. So just fell in love with CTCs and know the really critical work that they're doing across the state. The kids that I went to school with and the adults. I mean, I was a kid when I was 17 when I started at TCC, and these families and the families now in particular that we hear, the need is significant. We focus a lot on basic needs now because students are hungry.
Right.
Over 50% of our community technical college students in a survey are food insecure. Right. They are choosing between paying their rents and taking care of their family. They're choosing between buying food or paying a utility bill. They're making lots of choices. We heard of a student who lived in his car his last year of college, not at a community college, but at Central Washington University, so he could graduate because he had to choose between paying for school and paying for rent, and he lived in his car for a year. No one knew, or perhaps other people knew, but maybe not the right people knew to get him assistance. And so that's an example. And our families are suffering and they're making really difficult choices. When we have food banks on campuses, right. Pantries go empty quickly because of the need of students. And so back when I was at community college, I was with several students who didn't have a lot of money like I didn't in my family. And we're grateful to be there. But the needs I graduated a long time ago, but the needs increasingly have grown. And the amount of food and housing security and basic needs that our students are having, if their car breaks down, their tire blows out, it was their spare, they can't afford a new tire to put on the car to get to campus. They can't afford to pay for transportation, which is why we provide bus passes for students now as part of basic needs, because transportation is often a barrier and people don't think about that. So providing all of the important basic needs of students demonstrate the efficacy and the retention if we do that up front. And it costs us a lot more by not doing that up front and helping and having students struggle to do that and not be retained and not be able to complete than it does of investing those dollars where they're most needed. And these students are most vulnerable among us.
Nancy Liu, United Way's Systems Change and Public Policy Coordinator, is also United Way's co-convener for the statewide Post-Secondary Basic Needs Coalition. She discussed United Way's involvement with the group and the February 5th Lobby Day.
In addition to my role as the co-convener for the coalition, United Way of King County provides fiscal sponsorships to two of the organizations a part of the coalition. The first being Communities for Our Colleges, also known as C4C, and the second is the Washington Student Association, also known as WSA. In addition to C4C and WSA, there are two state agencies also involved in the coalition's work: the Washington Student Achievement Council and the State Board for Community and Technical Colleges. These four organizations in the coalition, as well as community partners, have all assessed the needs of post-secondary students across all campuses, including community colleges, technical colleges, trade schools, and the traditional four-year schools. In their assessment, they found that students are experiencing food insecurity, housing insecurity, the lack of access to childcare and dependent care, as well as navigating resources on campuses. The inability to access these basic needs have become a barrier for students to actually complete or obtain their degree. United Way of King County has lended their institutional power to raise awareness about the needs of post-secondary students by co-organizing a lobby day that's happening February 5th from 8:30 to 3 p.m. So listeners, I hope you can join and support our students.
We invite you to join us for Lobby Day on February 5th at the Abigail Stewart House in Olympia. And Representative Leavitt encourages Washingtonians to stay civically engaged by connecting with their elected leaders year-round.
The best way to be involved year-round is to get on legislators' email lists. We often do e-newsletters that talk about where we're going to be in the community.
Okay.
And getting on that will notify them where we're going to be, whether there's community conversations. I would say send us emails throughout the year or call our offices. We work, even though it's a part-time legislature, we work year-round, and we're engaging with residents all year. We have staff, we have wonderful legislative assistants who assist us. We can do casework on their behalf or for someone if they notify us. We can get involved if a state agency, if unemployment security is moving too slow for someone to get the benefits that they've earned and they need quickly. We can intervene. We do a lot of casework to help individual community members throughout the year, and we want to hear from them. So those are the best ways to contact our office, get on our email list, and let us know how we can help.
Awesome. Representative Leavitt, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I really am grateful for all the work that you guys are doing. Thank you.
For more information about the Post-Basic Secondary Needs Coalition and the February 5th Lobby Day, log on to psbncoalition.org. And now here's a word from United Way Board Chair Steve Hooper, the President of Financial Services at Tip House.
Hi, my name is Steve Hooper, and I'm honored to be the chair of the board for United Way of King County. I give to United Way because I know the team works closely with all kinds of organizations throughout our community, throughout this region, that are working hand in hand with the communities to deliver the services that they need day in, day out to make ends meet. It's an honor to support all of their work. Please join me.
Looking for a volunteer opportunity? Consider Rainier Athletes, a long-term mentoring organization that works with students and their families from 4th grade through high school graduation and beyond. And don't let the name deceive you. No experience in sports is required for volunteering at Rainier Athletes, which draws mentees who are interested in sports, as well as the arts, activism, and the sciences. Volunteer mentors typically spend 1 hour per week meeting with students and communicating with students' parents, teachers, coaches, and others. Rainier Athletes asks mentors to commit at least 1 full school year to the program. For more information, log on to rainierathletes.org. At United Way of King County, we are working side by side with communities to build an equitable future for everyone. Hourglass United Way is a podcast that highlights how we and our partners spend time making a difference in our communities. Our work is made possible by the generous donations from people like you. Please send comments and suggestions about our podcast to hourglassunitedway@gmail.com. To learn more about our work or to support United Way, log on to uwkc.org. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for listening. Until next time.